My name is Sharon Meisen. I'm currently a senior Scrum Master at USAA. However, I've been an Agile coach at Texas Instruments, at Sabre, and at Toyota. But it was my time at Toyota Connected where I met my co-presenter, Lena, Ghosh.
Hi.
And during that time, we started to dig a little bit deeper into the Toyota way and the Toyota production system. And we came up with some ideas that we took to our teams. We're both pretty practical people. So what we'd like for you in this session is to give you some practical things that you can take home and work with your teams immediately. It's not intended to be a deep dive session on the Toyota way or the Toyota production system. We're going to talk about it just a little bit, and then we're going to show you some things that we hope that you can make use of with your teams. So 3 takeaways is what we'd like you to get out of this session. Good? Okay. All right, first, so we all want to do less, we all want to go faster. So sometimes it's counterintuitive to think about doing less, but instead you end up doing more and go faster. So my co-presenter Lena is going to be talking a little bit about waste and how to increase your velocity by doing much less than you might think you have to do. Your second takeaway is going to introduce a concept called Meruka and visualization. And we are going to be doing a table exercise. You'll see at your tables, you've got some bags with some stuff in them, so get prepared. Keep the table clear, and we're going to be doing some a fun retro exercise that you can use to learn the Meruka concept and then take it back and take it home to your teams. The third thing we're going to talk about is something called Yoka 10, which is sharing or lateral sharing of knowledge. And once again, we're going to do a little exercise right here to bring it home. So with that, with no further ado, we are going to roll into our very first takeaway, which is the big picture of the Toyota way. So who attended Nigel's class? Anyone here attended Nigel's class?
Yeah,
the last
Tony
2 days?
did.
Yeah, some people did. So the Toyota way is a bigger picture of how Toyota thinks about work. And there's 2 key pieces that we're going to bring out today and learn about. The first one you see on the left is continuous improvement. The second one on the right is all about respect for people. So you can think about these as 2 pillars of the Toyota way. So within the continuous improvement, we have Genchi Genbutsu, which is, anybody know? Go and find out. It means go to the Gemba or the workplace and find out what is happening yourself with your own eyes. Don't rely on third hand. Don't rely on what someone else told you about it. Go to the place where the work is actually being done and see for yourself. The second piece is Kaizen. I think we probably know what Kaizen is. It's that process of continuous improvement, but that's something that we are going to be jumping in on today. And the third is challenge. So challenge yourself. Don't settle for the status quo. Don't settle for what's always been. Look, dig deeper, and figure out a way of making something better, which ties back to the Kaizen. So that's that first pillar of continuous improvement. A second pillar is respect for people. 2 pieces to that. Respect for each other, and then the second one, I've drilled a little deeper on that for you here, is teamwork. So teamwork is stimulate growth in each other. Make each other better by sharing opportunities for development. And that's something that we're going to be digging in deeper here today of one of the exercises, sharing across each other. And then the second is maximize the performance of both the team and the individual. Look for ways of getting better by challenging each other for continuous improvement. So they all kind of tie in together. So pulling out the 3 things that we're going to be pillaring on today so that we can go into our workshop exercises is Kaizen, continuous improvement, sharing opportunities for development with one another, and third is always look for ways of maximizing your performance of your team and your individual self. So flipping ahead, our first takeaway number 1 is handing over to my co-presenter Lena. Step behind you there, girl.
Thank you. So we can call it downtime because those are the 8 different wastes, and the sheet is actually on your desk. It's 1 for each person. You can spread it out and you can all have a copy. And if you're missing a copy, please let me know. We have some extra copies out here. So So we're talking about 8 different wastes. And do less and go faster. Before I get into waste, I want to tell you why I chose this topic. So in February this year, our chief of Agile at Toyota Connected took all the Scrum Masters on a field trip to the Toyota manufacturing plant in Kentucky. After the plant tour, we had a networking event with young entrepreneurs and young CEOs. So while I was at the event, a guy walked up to me and he asked me if I work for Toyota. I said yes. He shakes my hand and says thank you. I had no idea why. I was like, okay, why are you thanking me? And he said that 5 years ago, his company was not doing well, and one of his managers had an idea to go get TPS training at the Toyota Motor Plant in Kentucky. And he learned the principles of TPS, got trained in it, and went back and was able to save the company, and 5 years later, that company is doing great. So he owed the success of his company to Toyota. So not only has Toyota implemented TPS in his own company, but they have helped companies worldwide. So that is why TPS is such an important feature in lean manufacturing and lean operations. So Toyota has basically TPS lays emphasis on the 3M model, which is MUDA, which is also called as waste, MUDI, and MURA. So these are the 3M model. And Taiichi Ono is considered to be the father of Toyota production system. And in his words, what is waste? Anything that does not add value to the customer is known as waste. So basically, if a customer asks you for a feature, develop the feature. You don't need to develop anything extra. That is extra. That's not what the customer asked for, and that is waste. So moving on. So these are the different kinds of waste. So the first one is defects. So basically, a code not checked in cases of software development. If your code is not checked in, not tested, and there are errors later, and you have to do the same work over and over, that is what results in defects. And overproduction. So like I just said, if a customer asks you for 10 features, you don't need to develop an 11th feature. That is a waste of money, resources, time, and that is what is waste. So that is overproduction. And waiting. How many times have you experienced like server downtime or your computer downtime, or you're waiting for some clearances or certificates or anything like that? You realize that the process is long and tedious and you have to wait, and that is a waste. What we have to identify is how can we speed up the process and how can we reduce the waiting time so we can increase our productivity. And non-utilized skills. This is basically not empowering our workers, not empowering our team members. If we are underutilizing our team members' skills, knowledge, and their information, and that is what is non-utilized skills.
Could you move your mic to your waist? It's getting dead, so it's getting
This?
your arms in it. So
Oh,
can
okay.
you just move it down to your belt?
Okay.
The receiver or the transmitter.
Is that okay?
Can you move the transmitter to your belt?
This?
The transmitter, the box. Yeah. Thank you. You can clip it here.
Okay. Okay. So moving on to transportation. Transportation is moving of products, and basically it's it's a wrong layout. So I was very fortunate to meet Shingo-san, who has worked with Toyota for 40 years, and he recently came to our company. And the first thing he said, the layout of your office is wrong. And I was like, why? And he's like, because none of your teams have a team name. Like, if I'm supposed to go see somebody, how do I know where to go, which team to go to? Like, you're not identifying which team who belongs to and how they're laid out. So that was the mistake that he found, and we never realized that. So that is a problem in transportation. Inventory. How many times do we have excess supplies? We have a ton of excess supplies sitting around, and we don't realize that. But we should only order how much as we need. We don't have to order ahead of time or later. So that is one. Motion. How many times, have you realized sometimes that your printer is on the other side of the hall and you have to walk all the way there to get it? That's time wasted. There should be a central location where everybody can go pick it up and save valuable time. So that is a part of the motion. Extra processing. How many times have we figured out we're printing too many reports that is not even needed, people don't even look at it, but we're doing it anyway. We don't realize the waste that we do in everyday life. And so This was a retro that I had done with my team. One of my POs came up to me and he said, how can you identify waste with your team? And I tried to look for a retrospective to do with my team, and I could not figure out a way. So this was one of the retros that I came up with, and downtime is also called Tim Woods. So Tim Wood were the 7 defects waste identified by Taichi Ono in TPS. S, which stands for skills, was the 8th waste identified in 1980s. And that's why it stands as Tim Woods. So I basically put a picture of all the wastes and asked the team to identify the waste that they see. So this is one of the exercises that you can also work with your team, and it'll help you identify the waste in your product or in your team and help you improve. So moving on, we are going to play a game. So I need you all to take your phone out. And if you've never heard of Kahoot, Kahoot is a free online game. And you need to go to kahoot.it on your browser. And let me know if you have any questions.
Lose our internet?
Yeah.
Need to, there we go.
There's no internet. There's no internet.
Hang on, guys, we lost our internet here.
I think it's, hold
Is it
on.
coming?
It's loading.
Okay, give us a second. Take your phone out, go to the pin.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's good.
It's coming. It's coming in. Don't you just love it when like your presentation depended on internet connection, which worked perfectly out there, and then you come in here and guess what? Your laptop's like, internet? What's internet? I never heard of no internet. So, okay, I think we're in. So we just need to project that up there.
Oh,
You
how
need
do I do
to
that?
get out of your presentation mode.
Presentation?
Lose presentation mode from your, just exit presentation mode. Yeah, escape out. There we go, we're in. Okay, everybody at the browser?
So everybody on kahoot.it, please enter the pin that's on the screen. It's 8355432. Go ahead, you need to play the game. Okay.
Oh no. Well, imagine what the answer would have been.
All signed up?
Are we getting some cool names here? Okay,
Yeah.
how many hello worlds?
Gamma.
Jabba
Mr.
the Hutt
X.
with 1B, Bean, Angelina. Oh, I like Angelina. That's a good one. All right, we got Angelina right here.
I'll give it a few more seconds. I'll wait. Everybody signs up. People are still signing up.
So if you're not familiar with this platform, it is very, very useful for tools. There's a ton of games already loaded into it. Learning activities, you can use it for many, many things.
And this is one of the games also that you can play with your team. You can change your questions. You can create your own questions and make it fun and actually do a fun game with your team. Okay, 55 players. Let's get started.
It tells us how many people are in the room. Nice count.
So, gonna start. Are you ready? Yes. So there's only 8 questions and it's timed. So you need to hurry up. Data entry error
Prizes.
is an example of. You need to select the color on your screen for the right answer. Data entry error is an example of overproduction, defects, weighting, non-utilized skills. Which color? Perfect. You got it. So, moving on, Eagle Eye is leading. Yoo-hoo! So, features fully developed, tested, and delivered to the customer, but never used is an example of. The game.
Yeah, the website itself does that game and that music and those sounds.
Just make you nervous.
Trying to create a sense of urgency. We got here.
Overproduction, exactly. Developing more than we needed to, so that's it. Eagle eyes leading. Computer downtime is an example of. Three seconds. All right, you guys got it. Eagle eye. Who is eagle eye? I guess we'll find out at the end. All right, moving on. No signs identifying areas or departments is an example of. Also an example of the bad layout that I mentioned earlier. That's it. Perfect. Eagle eye leading. Partially done work, such as requirements analyzed but not developed, is an example of. This is an example of inventory because we have the requirements, but it hasn't been developed and it's just sitting there. That's extra inventory that is not needed. It's a little confusing, but mostly leads towards inventory.
Yeah, and many of these things will fit into two categories, so you're not necessarily wrong
Yeah,
for choosing
exactly.
extra processing. There's elements of both.
Yeah.
If you use this with your team, it's a spark for conversation.
Oh.
Oh man, eagle eye got, wow, all right.
Yeah. So moving on.
Wait, okay, sorry. I was about to hand out prizes, never mind me.
Context switching or working on more than one thing at a time is an example of. Perfect. So most people got extra processing. Now it's between motions because this is unnecessary movement between people, and that's why it's motion. So moving on, Al is leading. Start using software without proper training is an example of. Perfect. That was no confusion on that one. So, yeah, I think that's it. Oh, multiple signatures is an example of. Yeah, absolutely. You all got it right. Extra processing. And that's the end of the game.
Oh, keep the winners up.
This.
All right.
So who is Al?
Al won admitted? All right. Okay, so you have your choice. Since you're the winner, you get to choose hand lotion, a soap, or... It's Naked Bee, not chapstick. Hand lotion? Oh, were you second?
And who is
Am I at the right
MK?
place? Okay, who's second?
Who?
MK? All right. Chapstick, okay. And our third place? My goodness, did we actually have our 3 winners?
And I'm not here.
There you go.
Who was Eagle Eye?
Eagle Eye was like so strong. Are they going to admit it? They're not going to admit it.
Oh.
Okay, hopefully you all had a little fun with that.
So let's start from the beginning. So now I'm going to hand it over to Sharon, and she's going to be talking about the second takeaway.
Takeaway number 2. Okay, so what we're going to be doing is an exercise. This is set up as a retrospective type exercise, but what you can use is to teach the concepts of Meyaruka to your team, and then pretty much you can use this kind of signaling wherever works in with your Scrum team. Okay, so Meyaruka, what does it mean? It is a Japanese word that means visual control. It is used very extensively throughout Toyota, and it is a piece of the Toyota production system. So if you think about our 3 pillars of Scrum, transparency is one of our 3 pillars of Scrum. And so when we think about all the information radiators that we so commonly use in any, walk into any Agile shop and you're seeing like stuff up all over the wall, visual indicators are everywhere. So with transparency and visual radiators, it kind of ties into Meyaruka. So hey, you were doing Meyaruka, and you didn't even know it. So what are some guidelines for using visual controls? So make it useful. Identification. So you probably came up to this building, you saw parking that way. You look around, you see an exit sign this way. If you think about an Agile team and say you're not co-located and you're distributed, what will you have up on your board? Avatars? Funny picture, gives someone's idea of what their character is, so it kind of tells you a little bit about your team members by what they chose in their avatar. If you're using a tool such as Jira, you can put a colored bar on the side of the card that tells you, okay, that's a bug or that's a story, or it's like a quick way of getting to the information that you need. Information. So when you look at your team's Scrum board, what are you seeing? Burn down charts, columns, stories in it, whether it's a physical Scrum board or whether it's a Scrum board that's killed. Okay.
No, I should
Let's
come back.
pretend like the slide
No,
is
no, it
still
should come
there.
back.
Okay. So the information that you'll see on your physical Scrum board is going to give you a story. It's going to give you some information that you need to see. Instructional. So let's go back again to the example of the visual Scrum board. Let's say that you have columns that are to do, doing, like maybe waiting for your product owner, done. Let's say you take your definition of done and split it up and place it above the column that matters to the team. So as they look through their definition of done and walk their stories through, that's an instructional way of seeing the picture of the sprint as it goes through. I'm going to look at my paper here since I don't have the slides to look up at. The final thing that we're looking for is planning. So if you've ever been in a big room planning and you see the sprints, the release laid out across the board, you see big red things. When you have a dependency, you see strings like going from one thing to another to show your dependencies. That's an example of using Meyaruka or visual control to show planning. So the idea here is that you want to see something at a glance. It needs to be clear. It needs to be easy to understand. It needs to be big, visible, and like anything, if you make something that takes too long to update, no one's going to ever update it. And it's going to sit there and get old and stale, and then people tune it out. I mean, you can put cool visual stuff up, but if it never changes, then people are going to not look at it anymore. It will not be visible anymore. So keep it easy to update so that you can update it and then it kind of gets fresh. So the idea here is that we are trying to tell a story with visual control that can be seen at a glance. And why does this matter? We want to take action. That's what this is all about. We are looking for a way of taking action. So with my team, when I was at Toyota Connected, I was familiar with this concept and I wanted to use it with the team. So I wanted to teach the team the idea of Meruka or visual signaling because I had an idea that I wanted to use this with them in several aspects of their Scrum life. So I went and designed a retrospective that I used with the team to teach them this idea. And it helped them visualize the entire sprint, made the whole sprint visually accessible to them, and then used some signals, which I'm going to show you in just a minute, that they could use to say what happened on each day of the sprint. So guess what? You guys get to start going now. I'm going to go ahead. We're going to move through this retro. It's time to break open your bag. On your bag, you have, first thing to pull out is your days. So we are going to visualize the days of the sprint. So pull out the cards, lay them across the table. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Lay them across the middle. You can lay them across the middle of your table. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So first step is you're going to visualize the days of your sprint. The other things that you'll find in your bag are a stack of yellow, well, so they're actually orange. So the time between the creation of the slides and the purchase of the sticky notes, they became slightly orange. So pretend like your small 3x3 sticky pads are yellow. And then you're going to see some lined sticky pads. So go ahead and split that lined pad up right now. Pass it around because you're each going to get to play with that one. And the final thing you're going to see are your signals. So that's the visualization that you're going to use is your greens, your yellows, and your reds, X's. You'll also see that you've got a inspirational picture of what a sprint might have looked like. Yeah, you hold it up. Yeah, that's what it's in the lower right-hand corner. So keep that. It's a conversation starter. It's a conversation jogger. Since you've all had different sprints in the past week, we had to have a common element for you. So that's what you've got there. Okay, so we all ready? All good? All set up? All right. So here we go. For each of these steps, we're going to allow 3 minutes per step. So it may not be enough time. Work with us. We'll be doing the hand thing when the 3 minutes are up. Use your Meruka the Sprint printout as your idea generator. And what you're trying to do here is walk through the days of the sprint. You are looking to visualize that sprint. So we all have retrospectives at the end of the sprint, right? But what happens frequently in the retro is that you kind of just remember like that big impression of that whole 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever your iteration was. But you may have missed what happened on each day. So the idea here with the visualization of the whole sprint is to have the team go back and drill into what's happened on each day. And hopefully they're going to uncover some truths that'll help them to go a little bit better. So your instructions for this one are to glance at your idea generator and feel free to go beyond it, extrapolate. I mean, you've all been doing this stuff for a while and you can kind of figure out what the story was. Extrapolate, and for each day of the sprint, come up with your signal. Let me hand me a few here. It's either green, we had a great day, no impediments, or yellow, we did have some impediments, our progress was perhaps slowed, or red, things did not go well and we were probably blocked to some extent. So talk together. This is a team exercise. This is not like working independently. Talk to each other, collaborate, and come up with your first impression, gut feeling of a color for each day of the sprint. So at the end, it's going to look like this. What color you chose. Everybody good? On your mark, get set, go. 3 minutes.
All day without interruptions. That said needed to tell story, but team forgot to check with the database team to see if they have to create it, and they don't. Arguments. That would be a, I would say a yellow. Yeah, it doesn't say because it's a, but then if you look at Friday, it seems that they were able to resolve.
Take a picture.
But Friday,
I'm timing with my phone to go in the corner and take a picture.
this is an art once
It looks like everybody's about done with the first stage, so I think we'll just go ahead and cut the time. It's a time box, right? We can finish early. Okay, so next step. Next step is you're going to dig a little bit deeper. The first color was like gut feeling from the members of the team. So here we're going to dig a little bit deeper. So you're going to pull out your yellow, also known as slightly orangish, 3x3s. There should be plenty of pens scattered at the table. So talk to each other and summarize why that particular signal was chosen. So you see where you're going to lay it down below the signal there. Summarize why that signal was chosen. So you may say, I mean, if you're actually doing this with your team and it's a 2-week sprint, they're going to think about last Tuesday and like, I have no idea what happened on last Tuesday. So what you want to do is encourage the conversation with each other. When you encourage that discussion with the team members, you will find that that story of the sprint will emerge. People's memory will support each other and it will come.
For the yellows and the reds or all?
So yellows and reds, definitely. However, you may find that your team had a good day, but maybe it was unexpected, and that there's some learning that they want to take forward. So like, it's, you know, in a retro term, it's a keep doing thing. So you can allow your team to kind of let that come up. And if they want to take a green thing and keep it going good in the future, then it's absolutely okay to do that as well. For today, let's focus on the yellows and the reds in interest of time. All right? I'm going to start the time now, and I'll come over and ask your question. Go. Yeah.
It's a lovely exercise, and I was just thinking of its implementation to my team. So I wanted to ask, like, so we have like different people who work
Hey,
on
could
different.
we do this at the end?
Sure.
Okay. Talk to me afterwards. Okay. We got 10 minutes out. Thank you. I'd love to chat with you.
So I think it's just to explain why we chose the motion. Why we
Access products.
Yellow.
Yeah. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Just in terms of practicality, so you normally do like a weekly basis, like this time I have like 2-week sprints, and so I can see a week being organized, 2 weeks sometimes can be tough for happening days. Do you do this on like a weekly basis?
No, I would do it at the end of the sprint because that's like the logical time to think back. And I'm serious about the conversation. Yeah, that's exactly it. So what happened on Tuesday a week ago may be completely missing from one person's brain, but the fact that another person, oh yeah, that stuck out in my mind for that reason. So the conversation that the team members will have with each other is very, very powerful. And we're trying to uncover things that might have ordinarily gotten missed in the retro. Because in the retro, you just remember the big picture.
Right.
So we're drilling a little deeper
Okay.
by visualizing the sprint.
Yeah.
Make sense?
So you're doing it as opposed to, or just at the
I mean,
retro?
you would do this occasionally. So this is not something you would do every retro. This is something, it's an occasional tool that you would use with the team. Definitely when you want to introduce the concept of visual signaling to your team, then you would do it once. And you're teaching them about Meyaruka at the same time as helping them visualize the sprint. It's like a dual thing.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, it does. Thank
After that, every once in a while. No, not every time.
you. Okay.
Good? How we doing? Oh, okay. All right, wrap it up. We're getting close. All right.
Everybody, time's up.
Time's up. Okay, next step. We're going to do a little bit more visualization. So you all should have an extra pile of green circles on your table. For every, I'm going to use my fancy laser pointer here. So for every day that you had your red X or your yellow triangle, either blocked or impeded, go ahead and put a green circle at a distance. You all should have a pile of them right here. Like you should have extra at your table. So visually make a gap, because what we're trying to do, once again, we're visualizing the distance between the red and what's it going to take to go to green. So stick your green up some distance away, kick somebody's stuff off the table. That's your setup. Now you get to work independently. So you've all got little stacks of lined paper. Go ahead and split that pad up, flip it out to everybody so everybody's got a few pages. Grab a pen and brainstorm for yourself what action, what preparation, or say what condition, if it had existed on that day, would have caused that day to be a green day. Okay, first, quiet. What's your question? Yeah, so the question was, do you brainstorm these stickies individually? So they're here on the picture. Yes, individually generate, like what would it have taken to make that day go to green? And then just group them like there. See, just cluster them there in front of each day that needs to have them. We all good? Make sense? All right, and go. I'm going to write down some of the questions I got. Picture. I know we're asking a lot. Take a picture of us both there.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll take a picture myself. Thank you. This one's yours. You drink more. You drink from mine.
All right, time. Time, everybody good? Okay, next. What are we going to do next? All right, so guess what? You get to rank. One problem that I personally had with retros is I would try to take too much forward into the next sprint to try to resolve, and it's just too much. So I had to teach myself to winnow it down and narrow it down so the team can focus on something. So that's what you're going to do here. So I'm not going to give you specific instructions. Use your favorite ranking technique at your table if you want to do a quick dot vote with your pens, or whether you just want to sort them all. Sort them, but what you're looking for, what the outcome here is, ranking those line stickies ideas in order that you think you want to take them forward. So it may be things, you may choose to do it on things that are within the team's control versus outside the team's control, because not everything you can fix right away. Sorry, I'm losing my voice, so I don't want to yell too much. So not everything you can fix right away, so the team may choose to focus on something that's within their hands that they think that they can fix for the next sprint. So use your favorite ranking technique. What we're looking for is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever you have, of things that that team wants to, your team at the table, wants to take forward into that very next sprint. Clear? I'm not dictating your ranking technique, so talk to each other, collaborate, run through your days, and go. 3 minutes. We are doing really well. I think we're going to pull it in.
That's similar to what you're saying, right?
I started to do was
Yeah, if that was the case. Meetings go. Yeah,
So at this point, you shouldn't be coming up with more. You should be ranking what you have.
Oh, we didn't finish this one.
Oh, you move on. Rank it. Rank it. Yeah, just focus on ranking what you have.
Friday's easy.
I just put schedule of dependencies ahead of time.
Yes.
Okay. Thursday was work on unit standards for code review routine. Which might be good. 4.3 right tired. This should be like the release rate or something What rank tired? Got better coordination while the team earning. Time. So dependencies would be which one? This one first?
Sharon. Everybody, time's up.
Time's up.
Time's up, guys.
Time's up.
Time's up.
So I hope you've enjoyed learning this retro technique that you can use. I love it. As I walk around the room, I saw people bringing in elements of waste and listing out waste items that were each day represented. So that's a really great example of pulling both things together. But really what you're trying to do both with this retrospective technique and Meyaruka in general is figuring out ways of making things visual at a glance so that you can take action on them with your team. So what would you do with this stuff? You'd stick it up on the board, make it visible, elevate it if you need to. If it's outside of the team's control, bring the things that the team exposed. They may find that the things that they uncovered during this exercise are deeper than it's going to take to do like in a 2-minute time box during a retrospective. So that team may choose to bring that stuff into a deeper technique like 5 whys or a fishbone technique that they can use to kind of drill into like, why did this actually happen? It may just need a little more analysis than you can have. So feel free to let the team bring that stuff out and schedule some time later for a deeper dive into what happened. So
It's like having a retrospective at the end of the day. How did our day go? And documenting that so we can remember how did today go.
I mean, that would be a way of approaching. This is a general framework. Somebody was asking me at the back of the room, do I use this like as one every week, every sprint? You can use it to teach the concept of visualization to the team, and then just pull it out of your pocket and use it whenever you think it's necessary to do so. So use your stories. I've given you some ideas on your A3, that's the big sheet of paper. Like you can use this as a stand-up, like people check in, like I'm a green triangle today, or no, I'm a red X today. Have the stand-up, and then afterwards they check out with whatever signal. It can be fun like that. I've used it to assess the working agreement with the team, how they feel about each individual clause of the working agreement. So visualize this stuff and move it to 0. Okay. You can use them, yes. So this is the green, the signals that you see on the table are one example of a visual control. There are many, many, many more that you could use. This is one example you can use. Okay, we're going to roll right into our very third takeaway so we can take this thing away and finish this time up when we need to. So, Yokoten. So first, full disclosure, my daughter spent 2 years studying Japanese, and I barely got anything out of that, so I don't speak Japanese. But it's comprised of 2 words, so it's horizontal, lateral, sideways, next to each other, and then Tenkai, deploy, develop, advance. So it's the concept of lateral sharing across the organization with the intention of improvement. So that's going to be your third takeaway, is a challenge to institute something called Yokoten time with your teams. And I feel like I am totally standing in front of you constantly. I want to get closer to the team. All right, so Yokoten is a Japanese term. It means across everywhere. And if we think back to our Toyota Way principles and Kaizen sharing, and also the teamwork development where we help each other grow and laterally advance, this is a key piece of it. So how can you do this with your team? What you want to do is set up a cadence where the team is going to do this. It is so easy to think, yeah, well, they talk to each other all the time. They share knowledge and information. Well, the fact is that that sometimes does not happen. So the practice here that we would like to encourage you all to do is to set up time. And there's several ways that you can do this. So how do you generate a list of ideas that people want to teach each other about? Well, you can do something called market of skills. That's kind of a common retrospective technique where everybody gets to pop up. Here's what I know. I'm a subject matter expert in this, or hey, I'm curious to learn something more about that. You can use that to generate a backlog for your team of things that they want to talk about. So at the team level, I had a retrospective with my team where they said, well, I'm curious to learn more about, fill in the blank, whatever it was. So I took that and I drilled a little bit deeper to learn about Yokoten. I brought that back to them, and we did 15 to 20 minutes every single week where people got to share. They shared good coding practices. They shared new software development tools. There was a 3D printer in the office that nobody knew how to use. It wasn't even hooked up. Somebody actually had one at home. So she did a class on how to use the 3D printer. And next thing you know, people are printing little plastic things all over the place. So you can set a 15 to 20 minute time box every sprint. A Toyota principle is called quality circle, where people bring improvements in and share knowledge out among each other. Communities of practice, guilds, defect hall of fame is where you stick who made a big mistake up on the wall and what did we learn from it up there. So that's another way of sharing information. One very common one that we sometimes miss is the concept of having a joint sprint review where you have multiple teams come together. That's sometimes a way of bringing this concept into the organization early when you can't, like, oh man, who can schedule a 20-minute time in the week for the teams? No one's going to want to come to another meeting. Well, just by having a combined sprint review where multiple teams come, they're going to be sharing knowledge. Yokoten, laterally sharing. It's not teaching down, it's not reporting up, it's sharing with your peers. So we are going to do it. On your table, you have something that Toyota calls an A3. Yes, it does refer to the size of the paper, but Toyota uses these all over the place for a lot of the Meyaruka things. If you ran down that list of 4 different types of Meyaruka, A3s are used for many of those. So in this case, we are going to think about AgileCamp. So full disclosure, when I was at AgileCamp last year, it was the beginning of December. I went to a training class the next week. Then Christmas happened, holidays happened, and believe me, I had this great booklet of things that I was going to take home, and honestly, I never opened it again. So I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to think for yourself what so far, and not our session necessarily, but what so far has been your top AgileCamp takeaway. And I have a few kind of conversation joggers or memory joggers there if you want to think about it. So yourself, take 2 minutes and write what your top takeaway at AgileCamp so far today has been. Go. This is working silently. You can talk to each other, but work silently for these 2 minutes.
So I have 3 takeaways that I just wrote down, and this is what to share with my team. You could have multiple Agile conferences.
Are we 5 minutes out or 10 minutes out? 5 minutes out? Okay.
Oh, they're not doing it. Wait, it's not. And the second thing is, learning, as long as you're learning and improving, and like what we said earlier, the teams can learn and share it. So share how it works. And that's it. Share knowledge. Agile can be done multiple ways, as long as you're learning.
And as you work, my challenge for you with Yokoten time is take this and share it back to your organization. Whatever thing you write down, whether it's just telling a coworker, setting up a time with your team to share with each other if you've had multiple people from your company attending here at AgileCamp, that is my challenge. Share that thing with somebody else. Ready? Okay, so this is the end of our session. I'm going to recap with the 3 takeaways that we want you to get out of today. So take it home with: seek out waste. Remember that downtime acronym. Be deliberate and intentional about having your teams look for waste. Kill it dead. Go faster. The second is visualize. May a rookie or sprint is only one example. Go ahead and explore deeper and figure out how you can visualize to improve. And the third one is share. Yokoten. You've got one challenge. You wrote down one thing on your A3. Please take that home and share it with your team. So our handy dandy room helper has been very sweet on timekeeping for us in the back of the room. She is handing out your session assessments. So please fill those out, return them, leave them on the table. Okay. I'm Sharon Meisen.
I'm Lena Ghosh.
We've enjoyed having you here with us today.
Thank you for your time.